Welcome viewers, this is Winch here. I want to introduce you to a loadout that I wouldn't really traditionally utilize, that being the AS VAL with a high-powered scope. I think this is a comment somebody left on my channel on one of my videos about the 6x scope on the AS VAL, and I kind of just balked and immediately laughed at it. And I thought, you know what? One day I was playing this game, I was kind of a little bit bored with my traditional loadouts, so I went back to the AS VAL, which is of course my #1 weapon, and I figured I'd attempt a loadout on this gun with the higher zoom scopes again, because that's what this gun's suited for, is longer range engagements. But first of all, I hope you guys are all recovering from the huge disappointment today. That today is the 12th of February here 2013, and of course this was the release date today of Colonial Marines, and I was always a big fan of that franchise, the Alien saga, the second movie being my favorite, Aliens in the plural sense, that is. But the game finally released today, and man, the reviews are terrible for it. I'm just like, man, yet again, here we go. A big hype up of, I mean, this game was in production for like years. Was it like 6 to 8 years it was in production, which I guess is never a good sign nowadays. But anyway, they finally pulled it off and released the game, and the reviews are just abysmal, only like 4 out of 10, and that's across the board. So big disappointment yet again with the whole gaming saga that we participate in. It was kind of nice to have a new shooter here every now and then. And so I guess we'll be looking for Crysis 3 to be the next one, other than Battlefield 4, which will be out later this year. But back to this loadout, you notice here I don't have the 6x zoom scope, I have the PKA 3.4 zoom scope. That's a good loadout too. One of my buddies in my clan here, MCC, recommended this loadout as well. He's got more kills with the VAL than I do. I've only got about 6,500 kills with this weapon. But I picked up. I started off with this match with it. As you're watching me walk through it, a 19 kill streak with this match here on Epicenter. No, we just love when that trimmer's right in the middle of our long-range shooting. Just terrible. Now, in this situation, you can kind of see we're spawn camping a little bit here, which is hard to do on this map. It's unusual that you can get in these situations because there's so many flanking routes, and there's a lot of space here. As you can see, they're still managing to get up closer to our central position, the C flag. It's really hard to lock the team down on this. So you got to have a long-range capability on this map to kind of be able to shut the team down in these situations, which this zoom scope allows me to do. So you can see anytime you take fire, don't even mess around. With suppressive fire underneath you like that, you're not going to be able to hit anything. So you may as well just retreat and shake it off and then reassess the threat with targets, which is what I did there, and pulled off a headshot on that guy. As you can see with this weapon, I've reviewed this weapon. I'm not really here to review this weapon again. I'm just here to show you this loadout, show you situations where it really seems to work well, and kind of remind you of this gun, because it's not a gun to see a lot of people run on the battlefield. You know, PDWs are something of an enigma in themselves. With this is it. The AS VAL is not really a PDW. If you look at all the other PDW weapons, all of them pretty much cater to one type of situation, that is killing in close quarters. They're not meant for long-range engagements beyond, say, 30 to 40 meters. Beyond that, you're really just doing about 10, 11 damage, with the exception of the PP2000. But even then, it's not doing that much more. They're really for that 10 to 20 meter range and less, you know, like the UMP with its high damage, the M5K, the MP7. All those guns just absolutely wreck. There's just no denying it. The AS VAL is one of those weapons in the PDW category. It just it's not suited for that type of situation. It does a pretty much consistent damage across the board, whether it's close range or long range. Its maximum damage is 20. Its minimum damage is 18.4. So you're always going to be doing a 5 bullet kill, pretty much at every range. When you go on to long range, it's a 6 bullet kill. So 5 to 6 bullets all the time with this gun kills an enemy. So it's consistent. That's something I like about guns. If a gun is consistent in terms of its recoil, its damage model, those are the types of characteristics and weapons I really seem to take well to. The AS VAL is something I traditionally always run a red dot sight with. But the more I play with this gun, it's one of these things about Battlefield 3, it never ceases to amaze me. You can have thousands of kills with a gun and still not understand it. So after 6,000 kills, I started to ask myself, what am I doing with this gun? And what I'm not doing is utilizing its best advantage and trying to capitalize on that. The best advantage this weapon has is its long-range potential. So why not utilize a higher zoom scope? You don't necessarily have to put a 6x zoom scope, which I'll show here in a little bit. But just a moderate zoom scope, ACOG scope, PKA is a good example too, with a wider field of range. Don't limit yourself to just short-range engagements with this gun, which is capable of doing, don't get me wrong. But where it really excels is at these longer-range engagements. Now, it's important to note on the stats, I just want to cover them fairly quickly here as this kill streak comes to end here. And it's unfortunately a pretty, it is not a glorious death, unfortunately. I always like to go out when I'm in a big kill streak like this with at least a fair fair match, that is. But unfortunately, I think I just end up dying by getting shot in the back as I'm trying to retreat behind cover. So it's anticlimactic, and I apologize for that. But again, on the recoil in this weapon, a lot of people are critical of this recoil, vertical recoil. It's 0.4 vertical recoil, which is the highest of any of the PDWs. And it's 0.2 left pull, 0.3 right pull. It's obviously suppressed. But for the most part, and that's one of the greatest advantages of this weapon, is its suppressed capability. But one thing that you gotta absolutely remember with this gun is it is a sniper rifle, is the best way to think of this weapon. And look at these guys charging up here in this van. I just threw out one C4 packet there and finished them off. And you notice here, this is now the 6x zoom scope. You'll notice here in this footage that I will change the fire mode of this gun to single fire. So they're fully automatic at 900 rounds a minute or single fire. And you would think, why would you ever want a single fire of this weapon with its basically 6 bullet kill at range? Well, you can still shoot that pretty quick. If you get a headshot, it's game over for them. So bear that in mind, that basically the recoil goes to nothing on this gun when you go to single fire on it. It's only got that really dramatic raise on it, that 0.4 raise on it, when you are going fully automatic. And that's pretty much true of any weapon. So if a gun's got terrible recoil on it, but you can use its fire mode to maybe pull off a headshot and get accuracy on your side, then it's not such a big deal. And I do that fairly frequently sometimes with this gun, is going to the single fire mode at extreme long range, that is, and that's when you got a big zoom scope like this. You can really pinpoint your shots, and that's what the next point I want to get to about this gun. The aiming down sight spread, which is probably the single-handed most important stat of any weapon. That is basically where you look, where you see is where your bullet goes. If there's a bigger number there, like a big LMG, it's high. It's real high. You don't want that. If you're running, it gets your gun even higher. So if you're standing still with this gun, the aiming down sight spread, most of you know, is 0. It's absolutely nothing. So this is literally a sniper rifle in that situation. So you'll notice a lot of times when I'm firing this weapon, I'm at an absolute standstill. The consequence, though, is if you are running with this gun and you're trying to shoot, your aiming at down sight spread goes to 1.5. You pretty much can't hit anything with that. So bear that in mind. Unless you're at point blank range and you're running, do not ever shoot this gun on the run. And that kind of applies to any weapon. And situations like this, check your mini-map again. Capitalize on people's predictability. And they know they're coming for you. So start the pre-fire sequence, teabag them. You know how it rolls. This is a nice little clip here I thought I'd throw in here where kind of ran up on the flag, capped it real quick, and then realized 2 guys are behind me and picked up a guy's kit and killed him with an L85. It was a nice little clip. So bear that in mind with not just this weapon, in particular this weapon though, because aiming down sight spread's huge. But the moment you start moving with the weapon, your accuracy will go to nothing. Absolutely nothing. So that's a huge... It's something you gotta take in consideration, particularly with this gun. Other PDWs, it's not a big deal. The MP7, M5K, if you're running around with that gun, the aiming down sight spread is only about 0.5, 0.6. You can run around all day with those guns, and that's what they're made for. But not this gun. I really don't think this gun. The AS VAL should not be a PDW. I'm not complaining that it is, because I can use it in any class. I like that. But this really is a sniper type weapon. It really is. With that type of accuracy, with this type of long range kill capability. It's just like it was in Battlefield Bad Company 2. I mean, when I played it with that game, this seems just like it was in Battlefield Bad Company 2. Maybe with the exception of the damage models a little bit off. But the look, the feel, the sound, the fact it's still suppressed. It only had 20 rounds in Battlefield Bad Company 2. But nonetheless, great fun with this gun. I encourage you to try this loadout. Smile for the camera. Headshots kill every time. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content.